The courtroom doors opened at 9:30 a.m., and 31-year-old Diego Castillo entered in an orange prison jumpsuit, heavily shackled. His appearance immediately commanded attention. Completely bald, with elaborate tattoos covering every visible inch of skin, including his entire face. A serpent coiled around his skull, its head emerging on his forehead, with fangs dripping down between his eyes. Los Rastrojos was tattooed in Old English script across his throat. His cheeks bore teardrops, 6 on the left, 4 on the right, each representing a murder in cartel culture. Spiderwebs covered his temples, and religious imagery mixed with cartel symbols across his jaw and neck. His hands, heavily tattooed with skulls and weapons, were cuffed in front of him. He walked to the defendant's table with the confident swagger of someone who'd never feared consequences. In the gallery, a middle-aged man sat with his hands bandaged, 3 fingers completely gone from his right hand. This was Javier Morales, 45 years old, who looked 20 years older after what he'd endured. Before we dive into what happened in that courtroom, if you believe in justice and want to support a new channel dedicated to sharing these powerful stories, please hit that subscribe button and like this video. Every subscription helps us bring more of Judge Caprio's wisdom to light. The federal prosecutor, Assistant U.S. Attorney Rebecca Torres, stood. Your Honor, the United States versus Diego Castillo. Federal charges: kidnapping, aggravated assault resulting in permanent disfigurement, torture, extortion, terroristic threats, and racketeering in furtherance of organized crime. These charges carry a maximum combined sentence of life in federal prison. Judge Frank Caprio looked at the extensive file before him. In his 37 years on the bench, he'd seen violence, but the medical photographs in this file were among the most disturbing he'd encountered. He looked at Diego, whose tattooed face showed complete indifference. Mr. Castillo, do you understand the charges against you? Diego's voice was heavily accented, cold. Sigh, Your Honor. I understand. The prosecution alleges that between October 21st and October 24th of this year, you kidnapped Javier Morales, held him in a basement in Providence, and tortured him for 3 days. During that time, you severed 3 of his fingers, burned him with cigarettes, and beat him severely. Is that accurate? Diego shrugged, the serpent tattoo on his face seeming to shift. I collect debt. He owed money. In Colombia, this is how Los Rastrojos handle business. He knew the rules. The courtroom went silent at his casual admission. Judge Caprio's expression hardened. Mr. Castillo, this isn't Colombia. This is Rhode Island, United States of America. We don't torture people over debts here. Everywhere is our territory, Your Honor. Los Rastrojos operate in 15 states. Providence has Colombian community. We provide product. We collect payment. Simple. Prosecutor Torres stood again. Your Honor, if I may present evidence of what happened to Mr. Morales. Proceed. Torres pulled out a stack of medical photographs and a detailed hospital report. On October 24th at 11:47 p.m., Javier Morales arrived at Rhode Island Hospital with severe injuries. He was missing 3 fingers from his right hand, the index, middle, and ring fingers. The cuts were clean, indicating they were severed with a sharp tool, later determined to be bolt cutters. He had 47 cigarette burns across his torso, back, and arms. He had multiple contusions, 2 cracked ribs, and a fractured cheekbone. He was severely dehydrated and malnourished. Judge Caprio looked at the photographs, his jaw tightening. Mr. Morales, can you tell the court what happened? Javier stood shakily, his bandaged hand trembling. Through a translator, he spoke in Spanish, his voice barely above a whisper. Your Honor, I came to United States 20 years ago from Cali. I work construction, send money to my family. 3 years ago, I lose my job. I am desperate. A man say he can help me, Give me small loan. I didn't know he was Los Rastrojos. How much did you borrow? $5,000. But the interest, Your Honor, they charge 20% per month. After 2 years of paying, I owe $31. I cannot pay. I have 3 children, wife with medical problems. I tell them I need time. They say no more time. What happened on October 21st? I'm walking home from work. A van pulls up. 3 men grab me, put bag over my head. They drive for maybe 30 minutes. When they take bag off, I am in basement. Dark. Cold. Diego is there. He pointed at the tattooed man with his bandaged hand. He say I owe $30,000. I must pay or I suffer. What happened next would reveal the full horror of the torture. Torres continued. Mr. Morales, what did Mr. Castillo do during those 3 days? Javier's voice broke. First day, he beat me with pipe. My ribs crack. He burned me with cigarettes. Say this as warning. Second day, he bring bolt cutters. Big, metal. He say, each day you don't pay, you lose a finger. He hold my hand down on concrete floor. I beg, I cry. He cut off my index finger. The pain, Dios mío, the pain was like nothing I know. I scream, he laugh. The courtroom was dead silent except for Javier's labored breathing. Third day, I still have no money. He cut 2 more fingers. Middle, then ring. He put them in bag. Say he will send them to my wife as warning. No water, no food for 3 days. I think I will die in that basement. How did you escape? Diego leave to meet someone. He tell other man to watch me, but this man fall asleep. I am handcuffed to pipe, but pipe is old, rusty. I pull and pull until it breaks. My hand is bleeding, fingers gone. But I run. I run and run until I find hospital. Judge Caprio turned to Diego, his voice tight with controlled fury. Mr. Castillo, you heard Mr. Morales' testimony. Do you dispute any of it? Diego leaned back, his tattooed face showing the hint of a smirk. No, Your Honor, I do not dispute. Él debía $30,000 por cocaína. He owed $30,000 for cocaine. In Colombia, Los Rastrojos have rules. You owe, you pay. You don't pay, you suffer. As simple, it's simple. You cut off 3 of his fingers. Sí, 3 dedos. 3 fingers is mercy, Your Honor. Some people lose hands. Some people lose life. I was generous. He still has 7 fingers. He can still work, send money. He should be grateful. The courtroom erupted in gasps and angry whispers. Javier began crying in the gallery. Judge Caprio held up his hand for silence. If Judge Caprio's compassion moves you, like it moves millions of others, show your support by subscribing to our channel. We're just starting out, and your subscription means everything. Let me understand something. You consider cutting off 3 fingers generous? Your Honor, in Cali, in Medellin, in Cartagena, this is how we do business. Los Rastrojos is powerful organization. We move product worth millions. When someone steals from us, refuses to pay, we cannot show weakness. Other debtors must see consequences. Javier is lucky. I could have killed him. I gave him chance to pay. By torturing him for 3 days and mutilating him, by teaching him that debts must be paid. This is how we maintain order in our operations. Prosecutor Torres presented more evidence. Your Honor, we have photographs of the basement where Mr. Morales was held. The location was 847 Cranston Street in Providence. We found bloodstains matching Mr. Morales' DNA, cigarette butts used for the burns, and the bolt cutters used to sever his fingers. We also found a plastic bag containing 3 human fingers, index, middle, and ring, confirmed through DNA testing to be Mr. Morales' fingers. You kept the fingers? We believe Mr. Castillo intended to send them to Mr. Morales' family as a threat, exactly as he told the victim. We also recovered text messages from Mr. Castillo's phone, showing he reported back to Los Rastrojos leadership in Colombia about the collection action. He sent them photographs of Mr. Morales' injuries as proof of his work. Judge Caprio looked at the evidence photos, the dark basement, the blood-stained floor, the bolt cutters, the bag with severed fingers. His hands shook slightly as he set them down. Mr. Castillo, you photographed your torture of Mr. Morales and sent the pictures to cartel leaders? Diego nodded, unconcerned. Yes, Your Honor. This is how we report our work. Leadership must know that debts are collected, that discipline is maintained. I am enforcer. This is my job. I do my job well. Your job is torturing people? My job is enforcing payment of debts through whatever means necessary. Torture is tool, like negotiation, like interest charges. Different situations require different tools. Judge Caprio stood up, something he rarely did, his face flushed with anger. You speak of torture as if it's a business strategy. You cut off a man's fingers, burned him, beat him, starved him, and you call this doing your job? Diego's tattooed face remained impassive. Your Honor, con respeto, you don't understand cartel operations. We are international organization. We move product worth billions. In this business, reputation is everything. If people think they can steal from Los Rastrojos, if they think debts are optional, the whole system collapses. Fear is necessary. Pain is necessary. This is reality of narcotics trade. This is reality of organized crime, of evil. Call it what you want, Your Honor. In Colombia, I am respected. I am feared. I provide for my family. I have power. In America, you call me criminal. In Cali, I am successful businessman. Then Diego did something that shocked everyone in the courtroom. He turned in his seat and looked directly at Javier in the gallery. His voice was cold, threatening. Todavía debes $30, puto. Still owe $35, faggot. Prison is not forever. I come out eventually. Los Rastrojos never forget debts. You think this is over? This is just beginning. Javier cowered in his seat, terrified. The marshals immediately moved to block Diego's line of sight. Judge Caprio banged his gavel repeatedly. Mr. Castillo, you will not threaten victims in this courtroom. Bailiff, note that threat for the record. Diego turned back to face the judge, unconcerned. Your Honor, I simply remind him of outstanding debt. Los Rastrojos has long memory. 30 years, 40 years. We wait. Eventually, justice comes. Your definition of justice is torture and mutilation. My definition of justice is payment of debts. He took our money, our product. He must pay. This is not complicated. Prosecutor Torres stood, her voice shaking with anger. Your Honor, Mr. Castillo has just made explicit, terroristic threats against Mr. Morales in open court. We request those be added to the charges. Granted. Mr. Castillo, you've just made your situation significantly worse. Diego shrugged, the serpent on his face seeming to move with the gesture. How much worse can it be, Your Honor? You already want to give me life. What's another charge? The difference is I'll make sure you never walk free again. You're dangerous not just to Mr. Morales, but to every person who's ever owed your cartel money. You're a terrorist operating on American soil. I am businessman operating internationally. You Americans, you think your laws apply everywhere. But Los Rastrojos existed before DEA, before Border Patrol, before you. We will exist after. I am one enforcer. You lock me up. 10 more take my place tomorrow. This is war you cannot win. Judge Caprio sat back down, his voice ice cold. Maybe we can't win the war against cartels, but we can win this battle. This case. Against you. He picked up his sentencing guidelines. Mr. Castillo, You kidnapped an innocent man who was struggling to repay a predatory loan with criminal interest rates. You held him prisoner for 3 days. You tortured him systematically, severing 3 fingers, burning him dozens of times, beating him until bones broke. You photographed his suffering like a trophy. And then, in my courtroom, you threatened him again. Your Honor, I'm not finished. You show no remorse, no understanding that what you did was wrong, no human compassion for the man you mutilated. You speak of cartels and business and debt collection as if torturing people is normal, acceptable, just another day at work. In my world, it is normal. It is acceptable. This isn't your world. This is mine, this courtroom. And in this courtroom, torture is never acceptable. Terror is never justified. And men like you are held accountable. The courtroom held its breath. I'm sentencing you to 30 years in federal prison on the torture and aggravated assault charges. No parole, no early release, no time off for good behavior. You will serve every day of those 30 years in a maximum security facility where Los Rastrojos can't reach you, can't protect you, can't help you. Diego's expression finally changed. A flicker of concern crossed his heavily tattooed face. Furthermore, upon completion of your sentence, you will be immediately deported to Colombia and permanently barred from ever entering the United States again. If you ever return, you'll face life imprisonment. 30 years? I'll be 61 when I get out. Yes, and Mr. Morales will be 75, still missing 3 fingers because of you. Still traumatized by 3 days of torture. Still afraid of every sound in the dark. You took his fingers, his peace of mind, his sense of safety. 30 years is merciful compared to the life sentence you gave him. But Your Honor, the debt, he still owes. The debt is void. I'm declaring it legally unenforceable as it stems from illegal drug transactions and predatory lending practices. Mr. Morales owes Los Rastrojos nothing. The debt is erased. Diego shot to his feet, his tattooed face contorted with rage. You can't erase cartel debt. Los Rastrojos will still come for him. Then they'll face federal prosecution too. And I'm ordering protective custody for Mr. Morales and his family. Any attempt by Los Rastrojos to contact them, threaten them, or harm them will result in additional charges against your organization. You don't understand. The cartel doesn't care about your orders. Sit down, Mr. Castillo. This court is adjourned. As marshals prepared to remove Diego, he lunged toward where Javier sat, screaming in Spanish. Los Rastrojos never forget. We'll find you. Your family will pay. Marshals tackled him, forcing him to the ground. His tattooed face pressed against the courtroom floor. He continued screaming threats until they dragged him out. Javier sat in the gallery, crying with relief and terror. Relief at the sentence, terror at the threats that would haunt him forever. 3 years after the trial, Javier Morales lives under a new identity in a different state. Federal witness protection relocated his entire family. He works as a maintenance supervisor at a hospital, having learned to function with 7 fingers instead of 10. His children go to school under assumed names. His wife looks over her shoulder everywhere they go. The trauma runs deep. Javier still has nightmares about the basement, about the bolt cutters, about Diego's tattooed face laughing as he screamed. He's in therapy twice a week. His children are in counseling too, struggling with the sudden upheaval of their lives. But they're alive. They're safe. And the $30,000 debt that nearly destroyed them is gone. If this story touched your heart, if you believe judges like frankcaprio represent the best of our justice system, please support our new channel by subscribing and liking this video. Share it with someone who needs to hear that justice and compassion can coexist. Comment below with your city. Let's build a community that believes in fairness for all. Diego Castillo sits in ADX Florence, the supermax prison in Colorado known as the Alcatraz of the Rockies. He's in solitary confinement 23 hours a day. His heavily tattooed face, once a symbol of power and fear, now marks him as a target. Other inmates, many of them rivals of Los Rastrojos, have tried to attack him multiple times. He won't be released until 2054. By then, Los Rastrojos may not even exist. Cartels rise and fall. Leaders are arrested or killed. Organizations splinter and reform. The debt Diego tried to collect will be long forgotten by everyone except Javier Morales, who paid for it with 3 fingers and years of trauma. Judge Caprio keeps a photo on his desk, not of the torture scene, but of Javier's children at their new school, smiling for the first day of class under their new names. It reminds him that justice isn't just about punishing evil. It's about protecting the innocent, giving victims new beginnings, proving that terror doesn't win. The courtroom is the great equalizer, where cartel enforcers and their victims stand on the same floor, where tattoos and threats don't grant immunity, where American law proves stronger than cartel rules. Diego Castillo walked into that courtroom thinking 30 years was impossible for doing his job. He walked out understanding that torture is never a job, that debt collection through mutilation is never business, that threatening victims in open court is never smart. Sometimes justice can't restore what was lost. 3 fingers, peace of mind, the ability to feel safe. But it can ensure that the person responsible spends decades in a cell, smaller than the basement where he tortured his victim, isolated from his cartel, his power stripped away, his threats meaningless. That's not just justice, that's protection.